And you are watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Renette. And I'm Randy Hansen. In world news headlines today, Obama takes on GOP economic platform in fiery speech. And Occupy Wall Street activists take over foreclosed homes. An activist holds sit-ins and challenged corporation influence on Capitol Hill. And Occupy encampments cleared in New Orleans and Hartford. And mine owner to pay $209 million for West Virginia disaster, and 19 killed in Afghan roadside bombing. And U.S. ambassador returns to Syria. Mexican activists plead for protection after another murder. And journalist shot to death in Honduras. And Obama directs agencies to promote LGBT rights abroad. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who support your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, President Obama escalated his public campaign against Republican economic policies on Tuesday with a speech in Kansas. Obama vowed tougher enforcement of Wall Street and pushed his proposal for a payroll tax cut offset by a surtax on millionaires. And he said this is a make it or break moment of the middle class and for all those who are fighting to get into the middle class, because what's at stake is whether this will work for the country where working people can earn enough to raise a family and build a modest savings and own a home and secure their retirement. In what was widely described as a preview of his re-election campaign, Obama positioned himself as a defender of the working class Americans versus Republicans who favor the wealthy. And he said there are some who seem to be suffering from a kind of collective amnesia. After all, that's what's happened. After the worst economic crisis, the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, they want to return to the same practices that got us into this mess. In fact, they want to go back to the same policies that stacked the deck against middle-class Americans for way too many years. And their philosophy is simple. We are better off when everybody is left to fend for themselves and play by their own rules. I am here to say they are wrong. Occupy Wall Street movement has launched a new effort to reclaim the foreclosed homes from bailed-out banks. On Tuesday, activists staged a national day of action dubbed Occupy Our Homes, partnering with displaced families to return to homes lost to foreclosures. In New York City, hundreds of people toured a Brooklyn neighborhood beset with vacant homes. Cynia Berrigan, an Occupy Wall Street organizer, said this particular neighborhood is really, as one of the speakers said, ground zero of the foreclosure crisis, perhaps in New York City. The foreclosure and underwater rates in this particular community is 3 times higher than any region of Brooklyn and 5 times higher than New York State. And so really, we're bringing the Occupy movement to ground zero. Later in the day, activists helped a homeless family reclaim a vacant home seized by Bank of America. The home had been unoccupied for 3 years. Alfredo Cascacuelo said, "We took matters into our own hands and claimed back property that was taken away from the community. I love the fact that the community is out here to support us and that all these people came out to support us. I love the fact that we've embraced were embraced with both arms, open arms, and look forward to the future of creating a home here with my family. In Washington, D.C., scores of demonstrators took part in a series of protests and sit-ins at lawmakers' offices in Capitol Hill. Actions were held as part of a week-long Take Back the Capitol protest targeting corporate influence in Washington. Grace Bowman said, "Before, when I've looked for jobs, I've always was able to find one, and this time it's far more difficult. After the economic crisis and the bailouts of 2008, it's a completely different economy than it used to be for working people at all levels of education and income." Olivia English said, "This is the first time people have really been serious to come and talk to their own people, and I think that one reason why money has kind of slipped in their pockets is because lobbyists are taking over the hallways and people are forgetting that their voice is just as strong." In Occupy Wall Street news, the Occupy encampment in New Orleans was dismantled in a police operation on Tuesday. Protesters, however, have returned after winning a court order barring their displacement. Meanwhile, in Connecticut, police have cleared the Occupy encampment in Hartford. One protester was arrested. The mining giant Alpha Natural Resources has agreed to pay $209 million settlement for the West Virginia mine explosion that killed 29 workers last year. Each of the 29 workers' families will receive $1.5 million, while Alpha will pay a record fine of $10.8 million. Alpha assumed responsibility for liability after purchasing the mine's owner, Massey Energy, earlier this year. The company will be released from civil liability and criminal penalties in return for the payment, but the deal does not rule out the prosecution of Massey's officials, including former CEO Don Blankenship. Prosecutors say an investigation of Massey executives is ongoing. At least 19 civilians have been killed in roadside bombing in southern Afghanistan. The death toll for 2 days in the violence now stands at 78, including 55 killed in an attack on the Shia worshippers in the Afghan capital of Kabul. The U.S. ambassador to Syria has returned to Damascus 6 weeks after he pulled out over safety concerns. In Washington, State Department spokesperson Mark Toner said the ambassador, Robert Ford, will continue to oversee the U.S. response to the Syrian crackdown on opposition protesters. And Toner said, "We felt that there was a sense of urgency to get him back on the ground. You know, we've long said that he is fulfilling a very essential role along with, I might add, ambassadors from other countries like Germany and UK and France as witnesses to what's going on there as interlocutors with the Syrian opposition and as a steady and persistent voice of outrage against the Syrian government." Activists campaigning against rampant violence and corruption in the Mexico drug war gathered in Mexico City on Tuesday to demand greater government protection in the wake of a series of targeted attacks. Women's rights activist Norma Andrade became at least the second activist to be killed this month after being shot 5 times on Friday. At the Office of Human Rights Group, Andrade's colleagues said the Mexican government is failing to protect them. Mario Patron said the attacks on defenders of human rights and journalists represents the quality of democracy we are living in Mexico. When defenders of human rights and journalists have no safe conditions or a condition of vulnerability to do their work, then society is going through extreme insecurity. Josefina Mina said, "We are not saying that this is the government that fired the 5 shots into Norma Andrade. What we're saying is that the government is not protecting us. Proceedings have commenced in the Inter-American Court of Human Rights to make this very clear." In Honduras, an outspoken radio journalist has been shot to death in the capital. The journalist, Luz Marina Paz, was killed along with a companion as they drove in a vehicle on Tuesday. Marina Paz is the 17th journalist to be slain in Honduras in nearly 2 years. She was reportedly targeted for recent news coverage of drug corruption in Honduras. And President Obama has issued a new directive ordering all agencies engaged in work abroad to bolster the protection of gays, lesbians, and bisexuals and transgender individuals. White House says the move will elevate the treatment of LGBT persons as a factor in considering whether foreign governments are worthy of U.S. aid. And that's it for World News today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. And whatever we say on here is just our opinion, nothing to do with Nevada County TV.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
Something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter. Pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Monday, 7:07 a.m., a caller from 100 block of Glasson Way reported theft of items from locked trailers. And 10:32 a.m., a caller from 200 block of Lytton Drive reported possible fraud in the amount of $1,340. At 11:07 a.m., a man from 100 block of Stewart Street reported his vehicle tires were slashed. At 1:50 p.m., a caller from 500 block of Brighton Street reported a check had been written on a closed account. 11:28 p.m., caller from 300 block of Bennett Street reported a man jumped a fence to leave a property. Huh. I'd call 911 too, wouldn't you? Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Monday, 10:11 a.m. A man from 14,000 block of Greenhorn Access Road reported an unwanted person in a garage. It was a landlord-tenant issue. At 1 p.m., a caller reported a person was threatening to do harm if anyone entered a garage. The situation was mediated. At 10:22 a.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Poplar Road reported a vehicle had been broken into with $8 and 2 packs of cigarettes taken. 10:52 a.m., a caller from 25,000 block of Oro Valley Road reported a vehicle had been gone through, but nothing was missing. 11:39 a.m., a caller from Union Hill School reported an out-of-control juvenile throwing items in class. Juvenile was transported. 12:20 p.m., a caller from Magnolia Intermediate School reported a boy with a 2-inch locking blade. At 12:34 p.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Poplar Road reported vandalism to a mailbox. And 1 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Wheeler Access Road reported fraudulent ATM withdrawals. And at 1:27 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Pioneer Road reported identity theft. And at 2:08 p.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Enterprise Mine Road reported mail theft. And 3:16 p.m., a woman from 13,000 block of Wild Lily Place reported accounts possibly were opened in her name. And 3:19 p.m., a woman from 10,000 block of Pineview Heights reported her brother's dog killed 5 of her cats. At 3:30 p.m., a caller from 19,000 block of Valley Vista Way reported credit card fraud. 4:36 p.m., caller from Anvil Road reported a 10-year-old girl was out of control and throwing rocks at a car. And 5:13 p.m., a caller from 24,000 block Highway 49 reported a juvenile assaulted another juvenile, sending the victim to the emergency room. The suspect was arrested on suspicion of battery. And Tuesday, 5:37 a.m., caller from 10,000 block of Ridge Road reported people possibly trying to break in a residence. Called back to report people had been on his roof trying to get in his bedroom window, then fled in a vehicle. They could not be located. In Nevada City Police Department on Monday, 12:14 p.m., courthouse security reported protesters were blocking the roadway. And that's it today for the blotter. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. And as I was saying before, our thoughts are not that of NCTV. It's just GVTV News here. In today's local news headlines, Hurtado takes plea in burglary case, and McMahon convicted of kidnapping and carjacking in Placer County, and fire displaces GV family. In our first local story, written by Liz Keller of the Union, Grass Valley woman pleaded no contest in Nevada County Superior Court Tuesday of being an accessory after the fact in connection with several Alto Sierra burglaries. Jackie Faith Hurtado, 24, had been arrested October 22nd with Erin Nicole Kirkham and a 16-year-old girl after several residents of 14,000 block of Stinson Drive called to report the trio were arguing near a vehicle and acting suspiciously. One caller reported seeing a handgun on the center console of the vehicle. Another caller reported a woman appeared drunk or on drugs, according to the dispatch reports. Hurtado told Nevada County Sheriff deputies that the other two women called and asked for a ride. She denied any knowledge of a gun, but told deputies her passenger might be in possession of a stolen property. Deputies searched the car, allegedly found a variety of items from several reported burglaries. Deputies also allegedly found a pellet handgun and drug paraphernalia. Hurtado was sentenced by Judge B. Scott Thompson to 30 days in county jail with 20 days credit and 3 years summary court probation. Kirkham earlier had pleaded no contest to possession of stolen property and possession of drug paraphernalia, had been sentenced to 10 days in jail and 3 years summary court probation. Hurtado also is facing charges stemming from the Monday arrest after Nevada County Sheriff's deputies investigated a nearby burglary, found a 6-month-old baby in a fifth-wheel trailer in deplorable condition. Deputies also allegedly found meth in the residence. Hurtado was arrested on suspicion of child endangerment, committing a felony while on bail, possession of a controlled substance, and failure to comply with a court order. She's being held in lieu of $11,500 bail. And in other court news, Daniel Lee Hanna, 50, of Grass Valley, was sentenced Tuesday to Nevada County in Nevada County Superior Court to 6 years in prison after pleading no contest to a lewd or lascivious act with a child younger than 14. Hannah was arrested in June after the victim approached her mother and told her about inappropriate touching, which had occurred over a period of time. The victim's father spoke, telling Judge Candace Heidelberger that his daughter's mind is so messed up there could be lifelong damage. He betrayed everybody's trust. He took advantage of everyone. Heidelberger ruled Tuesday that information on uncharged conduct was allowed in the probation report and psychological evaluation for Martin Zane Fulmer, 63, of Nevada City. Fulmer has pleaded no contest to one count of lewd and lascivious acts with a child younger than 14, serious and violent felony. He faces a maximum sentence of 6 years in state prison and will have to register as a sex offender. A new psychological report was ordered and sentencing was set for 9 a.m. January 19th. Fulmer remains in Nevada County Jail in lieu of a $150,000 bail. A Placer County Superior Court jury has found Dylan James McMahon, 22, of Auburn, guilty of kidnapping during a carjacking and kidnapping for robbery while using a firearm, and guilty of carjacking while using a deadly weapon. Earlier this year, McMahon pleaded guilty to attempted murder in Nevada County for the crime spree that ended in a brutal beating of Wildwood Ridge resident Jim Wright. He was sentenced to 11 years and 4 months in prison. His partner, John Adrian, was convicted in Placer County of carjacking and was convicted in Nevada County of being an accessory to crime and was sentenced to a year in jail. McMahon, who will be sentenced in Placer County on February 3rd, faces a maximum sentence of life in prison because of the aggravated kidnapping convictions. On April 16th, the 19-year-old victim was returning to her car after depositing some checks in a parking lot in Chase Bank in Auburn when she was approached by McMahon, who asked for directions to the Grass Valley area. He then told her he had a gun, got in the passenger seat of her car, and told her to drive to a remote location on the outskirts of Auburn. In a secluded alley, McMahon produced a handgun, pointed it at the victim's head, ordered her to get out of the car. She did, and he drove off. The vehicle was later found after it was driven into a pond in the Auburn Regional Park. On April 18th at about 4:15 p.m., second victim went to the Auburn Regional Park to attend an exercise class, and after she parked her car near the entrance of the gym, she was approached by McMahon, who asked her if she had any change. The victim exited her car to get her purse and McMahon suddenly produced a broken bottle, held it at her neck, telling her to step back. The victim complied. McMahon and his partner, John Adrian, got in a car and sped away. The two were planning a series of residential burglaries to get enough cash to move it to Reno, and went door to door in the community until Wright answered the door at his home. McMahon attacked Wright with a wrench, hitting him repeatedly in the head. Wright suffered a number of cuts to his head, a fractured skull, fractured cheekbone, fractured right hand, and broken fingers. Yuba County Sheriff's officers eventually arrested McMahon and Adrian after a high-speed chase that ended in Marysville. It is important to remember that over the span of 3 days, the defendants kidnapped one victim, carjacked another, and brutally attacked the last one, said prosecutor Dave Tellman. Each victim went out of their way to help the defendant, and he paid them back by terrorizing and then stealing from them. The reason people tell their kids not to talk to strangers is because of people like Dylan McMahon. Grass Valley firefighters battled a residential blaze Tuesday morning in Miller Place off Nevada City Highway in the Brunswick Basin. Fire was reported at about 11:45 a.m. and a one-story house was about 50% involved on arrival, said Incident Commander Steve Smith. Fire was contained in about 45 minutes and the cause currently is under investigation, Smith said. There were no injuries and the Red Cross is taking care of the family that was displaced. Smith estimates that about 50% of the structure was gutted. Firefighters from Nevada City, Nevada County Consolidated, and Ophir Hill also responded. And that's it today for our local news. GVTV News would like to thank Associated Press, Reuters, Amy Goodman, the Union, and others for the source of news, and you for watching. And don't forget, we are broadcast 3 times a day: Public Access TV, NCTV, Comcast Cable, Channel 11, and Suddenlink Channel 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and random Saturday, or sometimes Saturday, well, actually never Saturday lately, and other times. Check the website schedule. We are streamed daily, NevadaCountyTV.org, video on demand there, and also our websites, GVTV.org and GrassValleyTelevision.com. Here comes the most wanted. Nevada County Sheriff's Office Most Wanted, December 7th, 2011. These people have warrants for their arrest. If you see any of these subjects on the street or have any information regarding their whereabouts, please contact the Sheriff's Department or local law enforcement. Every effort is made to keep this information as current as possible. However, the information provided should be verified before taking any action. Shown below, each picture is type of crime and last known city of residence. Please confirm warrant with Nevada County Sheriff's Warrant Division 530-265-1474. First up is Jason Angus McNutt, age 36, out of Truckee, violation probation, felony, no bail. Next up, David Humberto Gonzalez, age 29, out of Grass Valley, lewd and lascivious acts, felony, $50,000. Aaron James Stock, age 31, Grass Valley, possessed controlled substance, felony, $30,000 bail. Daniel Robert Dwyer, age 44, Penn Valley, spousal abuse, felony, $25,000 bail. Molly Ruth Algier, age 23, Nevada City, numerous drug offenses, accessory to felony, $10,000 bail. Brendan Barker, age 31, whereabouts unknown, numerous drug offenses, felony, $70,000 bail. And Justin Owen Baer, age 35, Grass Valley, numerous drug offenses, felony, $42,500 bail. And Mark Ray Johnson, age 45, Grass Valley, numerous drug offenses, felony, no bail. Michael Carl Peterson, age 28, Portland, Indiana, stolen vehicle, felony, $10,000 bail. Jennifer Lynn Gray, aka Steele or Ross or Cooper, age 37, rough and ready, drugs, felony, no bail. Robert Dean Hicks, age 60, Sacramento, grand theft, felony, bail, $50,000. And James Doler Carroll, age 32, Nevada, attempted stolen vehicle, violation probation, felony, no bail. Next up is Sergio Espatilla, age 40, aka Armando Espatilla or Sergio Bravo, wanted for murder, felony, no bail. Christopher Keith Besant, age 29, Nevada, burglary, grand theft, felony, no bail. And Charlene Jillian Hill, age 33, out of Nevada, drugs, violation, probation, felony, $25,000. Preston Robert Ryan, age 21, Grass Valley, possession of controlled substance, and felony, no bail. And Justin Lee Nurse, age 23, Grass Valley, driving on a suspended license, vehicle registration compliance misdemeanor, $2,500 bail. And Michael Ray Melton, age 21, Seligman, Arizona, possession of stolen property, burglary, and felony, no bail. And Gordon Morgan Hewson, age 55, Olympic Valley, a DUI, fourth conviction in 10 years, revoked license, and then felony, $115,000 bail. And Richard Dean Jaffarian, age 21, out of Truckee, violation, probation, felony, no bail. And Cecil Cunningham, a.k.a. Morgan, or Gary Morgan, I don't know, age 56, whereabouts unknown, possibly L.A., possible drugs for sale, conspire to commit crime, resist arrest, felony, $30,000 bail. And Tara Serene Davis, age 32, whereabouts unknown, possession of controlled substance under the influence, controlled substance, felony, $10,000 bail. And Sarah Ann Schneider, age 20, Auburn, Sacramento, stolen property, failed to comply with court order, felony, no bail. And Christopher Joel Argento, age 21, Grass Valley, numerous drug offenses, DUI, hit and run, violation, probation, 3 misdemeanors, $12,500.